Hello everyone, this is Remlace from 40k Theories, and welcome to the February 2020 edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Now, let's jump into the questions. Voice of the Emperor asks, could you do a based-off series for the various regiments of the Astra Militarum and maybe various Xenos races? I could possibly do so in future, but I'm not going to make any promises for now, just because of my current workload. But never say never. How many gods do the Necrons have? Well, we know the C'tan were given bodies based on the old Necron tier gods, and there was a crap ton of C'tan, so I'm gonna assume at least 10? I don't know, I don't think it's actually been explicitly stated anywhere, sorry. Kenju22 asks, what, if any, effect would the death of a Chaos God have on the forces under their command, including their Demon Primarchs or forces of Chaos Undivided? Well, there would certainly be some effect. As to what that effect would be, it's unclear, because we know demons can exist somewhat independently of the gods, even though they are created using a god's energy. Like, for example, there were demon princes of Slaanesh that were around before Slaanesh was even born, or awakened rather. So, it's hard to tell whether the demons bound to that god would also die, or if they'd still be around and just go mad from not having their god, or whether they'd just choose to merge back together to create a new version of that god. And there's a whole bunch of possibilities you could explore here. Brent Feast asks, because the warp connects the universes of 40k, Fantasy, Age of Sigmar, etc., what do you think of the possibility that what was seen as the birth of Slaanesh in 40k was actually Slaanesh escaping their imprisonment in Age of Sigmar? Not likely at all, because it was stated in the Ask Grombrindle segment in White Dwarf that Slaanesh was born because of the Eldari, and then travelled across dimensions to appear in Fantasy, etc. So, no, sorry. Could Horus/Abaddon technically be considered to be crowned as Everchosen, much like Archaon was/is? I'll be honest, I don't know much in regards to the lore of the Everchosen itself. I don't think... well, Horus definitely wasn't. Abaddon, I don't think he is, because we know Archaon has met with the gods, and it's implied that he actually freed Slaanesh from their imprisonment, whereas Abaddon, yeah, he got the favour of the gods, but he did so via the Demon Primarchs. Plus, Archaon was said to have destroyed multiple realms, multiple planes of reality, so unless Abaddon's managed to do the same, he ain't never chosen. If the Great Horned Rat had a dedicated Space Marine Legion, what do you think their cult marines would be? Probably something akin to Plague Marines, to be honest. With White Dwarf including a passage saying that when the Silent King went beyond the galaxy he bred horrors of infinite... oh, okay, I'm just going to leave that there, because this is going to be featured in a video in about a week or two. Stay tuned. Brother Santodes asks, if Titus from the video game Space Marine is canon, where would he be now, and is there any chance he's a Grey Knight? I did do a video on this a few years ago, though that being said, it is in gross need of updating, because so many people are pointing out the Grey Knight possibility, and I don't think I ever actually included it, so I might have to redo it and add that potential possibility, or debunk it. Lucanron asks, you often talk about the different tabletop games on Adeptus Podcasters. Do you paint miniatures, and if so, what forces do you own? Yes, I collect Night Lords, as it stands. Got a few things I still need to paint though, but got a nice selection of standard tactical marines, well, I say tactical marines, the equivalent rather, standard squads, Terminators, Dreadnoughts, Land Raider, Rhino, etc. If you're getting a Black Library book to read purely for leisure and not research, would you prefer to read it or listen to it as an audiobook? I would prefer to read it because with audiobooks, after a while you just start automatically tuning it out, which is a problem I have with audiobooks, sadly. So I would prefer to actually read a physical copy. How do Heretic Astartes warships function if mere mortals cannot stand the presence of the Immaterium as mentioned by a demon before Argoldhal and his brothers entered the Eye of Terror in the first Heretic? They still have serfs and menials and servitors. I mean, yeah, mortals can't stand the Immaterium, but that's what the Gellerfield's for. Because, as shown in the Night Lords novels for example, you have an entire basically an entire city of just standard workers, from Nostromo still on the ships and stuff, even though Nostromo at this point had been long blown up. So yeah, they still use menials, they still use serfs, slaves, whatever you want to call them, and they still have servitors. Albrick asks, what's your least favourite 40k faction? Necrons. I'm sorry, but every story I've read with Necrons, with the exception of Devourer, has been a boring or mediocre experience. I mean, yeah, there's been some good stories with a Necron character, such as the Clone Lord novel, but pretty much every other Necron story has been so dull and boring, and it's a shame because there's so much potential with the Necrons, but it's just squandered. Squandered, I tell you. Zero Hits asks, in honour of the month of February, it's time for another round of Bedweb. Fucking hell. Your choices for this round are as follows: Celestian Maria of the Order of a Martyred Lady from the Sisters of Battle novels, Inquisitor Amberly Vale from the Caiaphas Cain novels, or Second Lieutenant Miranda Nero from the Space Marine video game. Right. Wed Miranda, Bed Maria, kill Vale. I don't need to justify my choices. Get off my back. Brandon A asks, what does the Imperium do with traitor weapons and gear after they have been defeated? Do they melt them down for materials for new ones? I'm pretty sure they'll just destroy them, yeah. Whether they'll use them again for spare parts or whatever, or reforging is... it depends on the circumstances. I mean, power weapons have been known to be reforged and reused, as long as they're blessed and sanctified properly. Axe Morkai, for example. Gauntlets of Ultramar, that's another one. But for standard, tainted las guns or guns, I just think the Mechanicus just goes, set it on fire, it's been tainted, burn it. I would guess. Similar with the real-world case of how smallpox was wiped out, if Chaos was placed in a controlled environment, would it meld in with the Imperium and Chaos be forced to adapt to it, therefore making it less harsh? I don't think you can just simply burn out Chaos, because Chaos, by its very definition, is, well, chaotic. If anything, if you've got a taint of Chaos there, it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing until it's forcefully purged, so I don't think you can just simply burn it out. What would it take to summon a Chaos God like Khorne or Slaanesh into real space? A lot of time, a lot of blood, a lot of souls, and hopefully something to do with their sacred number, I would guess. Jason Beard asks, what was the effect on the tabletop community when GW started to spread out into other markets like video games? Were there a lot of upset players, or is it just a vocal minority writing bloody magpies in the comments of your videos? Well, in regards to 40k video games, Dawn of War is not the first example. Some of the earliest 40k games that come to mind are the two Space Hulk games. In Warhammer Fantasy you got Dark Omen and Shadow of the Horned Rat, and before either of them, you had Space Crusade, which still has the best menu music ever. So I won't go into it. But anyway, I think why so many people go on about bloody magpies is because of all the relics they could get in Dawn of War 2, it kind of turned them into a meme in regards to just like, hey, look at all these expensive and rare relics that we just so happen to find, because they just nick them apparently. It's one of those things where the meme is louder than the lore, if that makes sense, like with Abaddon losing his arms. Because in terms of the lore, I mean, yeah, originally in 3rd edition he was kind of a failure because 12 failed crusades, but after that got completely retconned, and with the modern lore, Abaddon is actually quite a fucking beast. I mean, Marneus Calgar got Primarified, and literally, like, within the hour, Abaddon crippled him. But going back to the question at hand, I don't think there was much of a reaction when 40k video games were being released other than like, ooh cool, a 40k video game, nice, I want to play it, kind of thing. At least from my own personal experience. And finally, Ghost Reaper asks, how are non-Tau races such as humans, Vespid and Kroot treated in the Farsight enclaves? I'll be honest, my enclave knowledge is a little lacking, but as far as I can tell, they're treated at least as well as they are in the Empire. As far as I'm aware, at least. Is there a chance that Games Workshop will have the Enclave shift to the Fourth Sphere expansion's views on Xenos races because members from that expansion fled to the Enclaves to escape punishment? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, sure, a few members of the Enclaves will have those views, but as for the views of the Enclaves themselves, I don't see that happening. I mean, let's be honest, the only reason why they went to join the Enclaves is because, oh shit, well, if I go back to the Empire, I'm going to be punished, possibly even executed. I might as well join with the Rebel Tau at this point then in this guy, because there's nowhere else for me to fucking go. Have the Enclaves tried to expand their own territory in the same way as the rest of the Empire? I think they've only just gone for the worlds that Farsight himself originally claimed for the Empire during his war against the Orcs. I think. But again, as I said, my Enclave lore is quite lacking, and without actually looking into it, I would have to guess probably not. No, that's my answer. I don't know. Sorry. And that concludes this edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, or at least attempted, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Until next time, this has been Remlaze from 40k Theories, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!